hero shooter genre isn't anything new or innovative in the gaming landscape. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, this genre was better known as the arena shooter, with games like Quake and Unreal Tournament. In 2016, Blizzard breathed new life into this style of game with its once concept game Titan that became Overwatch. That game set the standard for what hero shooters looked like moving forward, with Paladins following closely behind it. In 2024, Overwatch still clings on to its relevancy as one of the most important hero shooters. But now, we have a new contender that aims to seize the top slot in this ever-growing category. Marvel Rivals is created by developer NetEase, and as a seasoned Overwatch player, I'm here to critically analyze this game and assess its staying power in this highly competitive niche. So first, let me give a disclaimer here. I'm coming into this as someone who has put in countless hours of Overwatch and who has played Overwatch since the first day of release in 2016. I even served a short stint as a member of press at the Overwatch League. I say that to say that I'm not trying to compare every single aspect of Marvel Rivals to Overwatch, but the two games are so mirrored in their approach that it's impossible not to cross-reference between them. With that out the way, let's begin. At its core, Marvel Rivals is an extremely fun experience that encourages players to pick up their favorite Marvel characters and experiment with team-up abilities and combos while trying to complete objectives and defeat the other team. For those unfamiliar with the hero shooter genre, the aim here is to work with your team of 5 other players to fulfill objectives that will earn you the match victory. Objectives are tied to the map that you play on. Sometimes it's pushing a payload from one side of the map to the other. On others, it's about snatching a control point and holding it. There are currently 4 main modes that you'll experience, and those are Domination, Convoy, Convergence, and Conquest. Marvel Rivals operates on a 6v6 format. 6 players on one team versus 6 players on the other team. Teams should typically consist of a good mix of vanguards, which are tanks, duelists, which are DPS or damage, and strategists, which are healers. However, unlike the default mode of Overwatch, Marvel Rivals does not have any kind of role lock to ensure that all games are balanced equally. This means that you can go into a match with 4 DPS, or 1 Vanguard and 1 support, or a common one that I see is 3 DPS, 1 tank and 2 supports. Heck, you can go all DPS if you really wanted to, but the trick here is to be analyzing on the go whether your team dynamic is working or not. If you're running 4 DPS and your damage is being absorbed and deflected by the other team's tanks to the point you're being dismantled, then it's time to switch it up a little. Here lies the tough part about team games like this. Typically, most players want to be DPS characters because they're the most fun to play, and one might argue that they have the least amount of responsibility. Hardly anyone wants to spend the game chasing their team around to keep them healed up, or sitting on the objective holding up a shield. But contributing effectively to the team is what will earn you the victory in most cases. And there's nothing like the dopamine rush of feeling the teamwork pay off. I would actually argue that Marvel Rivals does a better job of making the tank and support roles exciting than other games. Sadly, there are still players out there who just want to hop in and try to make it a one-person show where only they can pop off. And those are the players who likely get frustrated at healers and tanks when it's not working for them, instead of taking the time to understand what dynamic the team is missing to win. But one important note here is that with an IP like Marvel Rivals, people are already coming into the game wanting to play characters that they love and identify with. So being nudged into playing anything other than the character they love might not be what the players signed up for. This is why I hope that the quick match mode retains its low stakes fun and doesn't end up being a cesspool of toxicity where people do nothing but bicker over why they're losing. A large part of this game's fun comes from just hopping into games and having a good time. without worrying about the victory too much. And for those who do want to take the game more seriously, there's an entire competitive mode for that. What I would like to see more of in these games is the developer taking the initiative of separating the players who just want that low stakes fun that comes from trying out characters and experimenting with gameplay styles, from the players who actually want to play to win. NetEase does have an entire tournament structure planned for this game to cater to the competitive scene, so we'll see how it all plays out in the coming months. However, I can safely say that Marvel Rivals has given me the same level of fun that I used to get from Overwatch. With Overwatch in particular, the Overwatch League pushed the competitive aspect of the game into a certain pathway where every aspect of the game needed to be as balanced as possible for players to be happy. I feel that the same level of micromanaging in Marvel Rivals could strip the game of some of its fun. In the Marvel universe, there are quite simply characters who must feel a little overpowered. And rather than nerfing and buffing abilities constantly, perhaps adding new characters that are natural counters is the best way forward here. Also, they could utilize the team-up abilities that seem to cycle each season. The hero ban system that is in the high ranks of the competitive mode could also maybe become an option in all tiers of the game, and this would at least empower the players to remove the overpowered characters that they don't want to deal with on a match-by-match basis. When it comes to the art direction, the charm of the game, and the performance, developer NetEase really hit a home run with the Marvel IP. Some may think that slapping the Marvel name on a product is enough for it to sell, but we all witnessed the disaster that was Marvel's Avengers back in 2021. This showed us that it is in fact possible for a game not to meet expectations despite how popular the property is. Granted, Marvel Rivals isn't a game that's for sale. It's free to play, which does factor into its success. But I do think that this game will be a financial success once it's all said and done. The character expression in this game is spectacular. These characters that we've grown to admire really feel like how they should. They move, hit, and express themselves like they're straight out of the pages of a comic book. The art style is well thought out, blending the appeal of a comic book with a cel-shaded 3D design. It looks like a comic, but it's real enough to keep you immersed in the experience. The destructible environments are great, adding another layer to the chaotic gameplay. If you see the Punisher firing down on you with a turret from above, you can bring him down by destroying the entire platform. I even love the speed of the game. I often play Overwatch 2 and Marvel Rivals back to back, and there's a clear difference in the speed between the two games. I will say that while Overwatch is more polished from a performance standpoint, the speed at which Marvel Rivals plays only adds to the level of excitement. Matches in Marvel Rivals also feel shorter, but long enough to be fulfilling, whereas Overwatch matches can feel a little drawn out at times. I'm playing on a PC, and I can say that the performance during the first 4 to 5 days was atrocious. But props to NetEase because they quickly solved a lot of these issues with a patch. Since the patch, my game has run much smoother while using up less resources. For reference, I'm running an AMD 3700 CPU, an NVIDIA RTX 3070 GPU, and 16 gigabytes of RAM. One aspect that really sets this game apart from others is the team-up abilities. They add a whole new dynamic to the game, boosting certain heroes and giving them buffs for a certain amount of time, or outright giving them new abilities. How this works is that there are a bunch of team-ups available that can be unlocked when a team chooses the characters that are a part of the specific team-up. An example of this is the Ammo Overload team-up. This one consists of Rocket Raccoon, Punisher, and the Winter Soldier, and it unlocks the ability for Rocket to throw out a device that makes it so that Punisher and Winter Soldier no longer need to reload for a set amount of time. What's great about this is that you don't need all three characters to be in the party for this to be available. You just need Rocket Raccoon as the anchor character, and either Punisher or Winter Soldier, or both. In many of these team-ups, it's the anchor character that initiates the team-up, so that character must be a part of the team-up, but the two other characters in the team-up are optional. There are also team-ups with just two characters, like Atlas Bond with Iron Fist and Luna Snow, for instance. There are currently 15 active team-up abilities in the game, and these will switch up each season. So going back to my earlier point about balancing, if there's ever a character that is super OP and is destroying the player base when chosen, like let's say Iron Fist, then NetEase can use these team-up abilities as a balancing tool to give players an extra option to combat these nuisance characters. This to me is a better option than just min and maxing or buffing and nerfing hero abilities constantly, because you're actually giving a gameplay tool that can help players deal with these nuisance characters. There are also seasonal bonuses, which give certain characters a buff in healing, damage, or overall health. The team-ups and seasonal bonuses is something that will likely skew character pick rates, and perhaps force players to try out characters they might not have otherwise. So now it's time to tackle the sensitive topic of monetization. With Marvel Rivals being a free-to-play game, it has a battle pass, but unlike with Overwatch, Fortnite, and similar games, Marvel Rivals doesn't let you progress its battle pass through earning experience points. Instead, it wants you to unlock battle pass currency through completing dailies or other challenges. What this means is that it's not enough to just play the game as much as possible to run through the battle pass and earn all the goodies. You actually have to pay attention to what the challenges are if you want to get the most out of your battle pass, whether you're grinding the free tiers or whether you buy the full battle pass. Now, there are some pros and cons to this. What's good about this system is that it does encourage you to play characters you might not play often. A lot of the challenges actually reward you for trying out some of the team-ups and taking specific actions with a hero. The downside to this is that once the hype for this game dies down a little, we may see a large number of players who just jump onto the game and only play a couple of matches to complete their daily challenges. This would in effect make the game feel more like a checkbox that needs to be ticked on a player's gaming schedule, rather than a fun and fulfilling experience that they actually want to play. Other games differ because no matter how you play, you're still earning XP to unlock cool things in the battle pass, and this encourages you to keep playing as much as possible. It'll be interesting to see if players begin doing just enough in Marvel Rivals to fulfill these challenges before moving on to other games. Another area of the game that will be an inevitable moneymaker is the character skins. A character's costume is a big deal in the Marvel universe, and NetEase has decades worth of costume iterations to cash in on. The more expensive skins seem to be around the $20 mark, which is actually between £16 and £17 for me. There are some great skins here already, and if it wasn't for the fact that I'm going through an economic crisis, I probably would have indulged by now. Story is not something easy to tell in a multiplayer live service game like this, but Marvel Rivals tries to do something with it. You can unlock pieces of the story by completing challenges. Also, as I record this, Marvel Comics has published the first issue in a Marvel Rivals comic book run, and this should tell the story in classic Marvel fashion. But to summarize the premise, two Doctor Dooms collide and create a new time stream where heroes and villains across the multiverse will fight. Something like Secret Wars, I guess. To summarize this, NetEase has given us something special with this experience. It's early days, so the game is still popular and buzzing with excitement, but I truly believe that Marvel Rivals will be a mainstay in the hero shooter genre. As I said, Marvel is a property with over 50 years of history to pull from. Each season can follow a specific theme with its own set of skins and team-ups, and there's already a leaked list of characters that are up and coming for the game, which confirms that they'll be adding new ones for years to come. I won't share those leaks here to be respectful, but you can find it with a search. I think that it's great that Overwatch has some strong competition now, and I actually believe that competing for players' money and attention will end up making both games better in the long run. I'm thoroughly enjoying Marvel Rivals, and it continues to give me the feeling of playing Overwatch between the years of 2016 and 2019, which I believe to be the peak Overwatch years. As a live service game, I have no doubt that Marvel Rivals will continue to evolve, and I'll be here to comment on it. For now, I'm highly recommending this game. I think even the casual gamer who enjoys Marvel products will have a lot of fun with Marvel Rivals, and those who just enjoy the competitive aspect have a new game to master. And hey, it's free anyway, so you might as well download it and go ahead and try it out.